Example 2, 426 and 1/5 minus 275 and 1/2. Now again, my goal today is to prove to you that decimals are much easier in the end to use than fractions. So let's pretend I'm still in 5th grade and all I have to use in my arsenal, my toolbox, is fractions. I'm subtracting mixed numbers. We know that whenever we're subtracting mixed numbers, we always have to find like denominators. We also need to have improper fractions. Okay? So before I do anything, let's find our estimate. I have 426 minus 275. So let's find our estimate. What is 6 minus 5?
1.
I'm expecting more of a response than that, guys. This is not hardcore math. What is 2 minus 7?
5.
Yeah, it's going to be 5 because I have to regroup from the hundreds place. There's 12 tens minus 7 tens, which is 5 tens. 3 hundreds minus 2 hundreds is 100. So my estimate, I know that when I'm said and done, as long as I'm close to 151, I'm going to be a happy boy. Okay? Now, I'm looking at 5. I'm looking at 2. I'm saying that I want to find a common denominator before I go off and do something crazy, like subtract. Because if I add and subtract, unlike denominators, I've done something crazy. What's a common denominator between 5 and 2? What's a common multiple between those two? 10. Okay. So know that if I multiply this by, what would I have to multiply 5 by to make it equal 10? If I multiply the denominator, what do I have to multiply the numerator? So this becomes 426 and 2/10. Let's look at 275 and 1/2. What do I have to multiply the denominator by to make it equal 10? So if I multiply the bottom by 5, I also have to multiply the, I love that you say numerator. Now when I multiply by 5/5, what is 5/5 equal to? 1. If I multiply any number by 1, am I changing it? No, I'm saying I have 1 of that many number. So my new fraction becomes 5/10. All right, now I said anytime we add and subtract fractions, we have to find a common denominator. Guys, don't stress out. I'm about to go through and change these into improper fractions and subtract them. Don't worry, the whole goal of this exercise is we're going to compare this to decimals. And we're going to see which one's going to work better. Which one you're going to be using for pretty much the rest of your math career, okay? So in order to make this into improper fractions, remember we multiply the denominator by the whole number. You guys remember Mr. Dahl? Multiply right. If I multiply by 10, I just move the decimal point one place to the right. It's a multiply. So that's the same thing as saying I now have 4,260 plus 2, because that's my numerator, right? So how many tenths do I have total? What's 4,260 plus 2? 4,262. Now I get to do the same thing over here. Remember the Mr. Dahl trick? Guess what? It works every single time. I just add a 0 to the end, basically. So what is 2,750 plus 5? 2,755 tenths. Do I have a common denominator? Yes. So now I just find the difference between the numerators. So what is 4,262 minus 2,755? I can't take 5 from 2, right? So that becomes 5, 12. 12 minus 5 is? Anybody? 12 minus 5? 5 tens minus 5 tens? 0 tens. 2 100s minus 7 100s? Nope, I need to borrow from the thousands place. Yes, I'm regrouping from the thousand. Thank you for correcting me. So now I have 12 hundreds minus 7 hundreds. What's 12 minus 7?
5.
Then 3,000 minus 2,000. So now I've got 1,507 divided by 10. If Mr. Doll worked when I multiplied, it also works when I divide. My decimal's right here. I'm dividing by 10. I move it one place to the left. So my final difference, answer to the subtraction problem, is 150 and 7 tenths. How does that relate to my estimate? Is that pretty close?
Yeah.
That's really close. It's only 3 tenths off. You guys remember back here when I made the like denominators? Did anyone notice that I had powers of 10 for my denominator? If I say this fraction, how would I say it? This one right here. 426 and how many tenths? Like that? And then what's being subtracted? 275 and 5 tenths. 275 and 5 tenths. Wait till this is done. Now I'm taking away 5 tenths from 2 tenths. Can I do that? I need to borrow. This should look familiar. Doesn't? This is going to look just like this. What's 12 minus 5?
7.
7 tenths. Decimal point drops down. 5 minus 5?
0.
2 tens minus 7 tens? Can't do it. Regroup from the hundreds. 12 tens minus 7 tens? 300 minus 200? Do we see how the answers are the exact same? Which way would you want to use? Would you want to use the fractions and the going back and forth between common denominators to improper fractions, and then you find the difference, and then you go back to improper fraction to a mixed number? Or would you just want to write it as a decimal and subtract? Can everyone see the power of the decimal? Can we all agree that, hey, I need to figure out how to do this because this is going to make my life so much easier? If we don't get this, well, your math life will be much harder. If you don't get this, don't worry. We're going to be doing this for the next week or so, probably more than. This will be on YouTube. Review, look at some problem sets, break it down. Don't freak out about it. Try. Using this